So one of the most common ways that people clean their bearings is just to stick their bearings inside of a bottle and fill it with some sort of cleaner or solvent. And then usually there'll be like a rod or something in the middle to kind of hold the bearings a little more. And then they'll shake it. And they'll use that to clean the bearings. Today I'm going to argue that cleaning bearings in a bottle doesn't really work as well as you'd think, and I'm going to explain why. Alright, so just getting straight to the point, the reason why it doesn't work on its own, I should add, is that all the gunk and grit that you're washing off the bearings stays in the bottle. So these bearings have actually already been washed once, and then I strained off all the dirt and grit and the grease that was off the bearings, and I strained them with this cotton ball in a funnel, and this is what was left behind. And I mean, a lot of it is just grease that got suspended in the cleaner, but it's really gritty feeling. And anyway, so a lot of stuff has already been removed from these bearings, and I've continued to let them soak. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these bearings and I'm going to see how much is left in this liquid, keeping in mind it has been washed once already. So stir it up. Alright, so I'm just going to let this filter through, and then I'll be back. So here's the solvent after it's all been filtered through. Of course, the filter doesn't stop everything, and of course the dyes from, there's blue and gray dye from the different greases I've used in there. But there's really nothing in here that will hurt the bearings. But over here on the filter paper, you can see all this stuff is the things that were still in the bearings after they had already been washed once. Because remember, this is the second washing of these bearings. So there we go. That's the problem with the with washing the bearings in a bottle, is it traps all the dirt and all the grit, and there's enough small particles that they get distributed around and they end up back in your bearings. So there's a couple things you could do to minimize this. So one thing is, I just have my bearings sitting at the bottom of the bottle. If you use like a proper, like a Bones bearing cleaning kit that has the stem or the bolt down the center, what you can do is you can let it settle for about an hour or so, and all the grit and stuff will fall to the bottom, and you can take your bearings out, and that won't be perfect, but it'll be a lot better. The other thing you can do is, after you rinse the grease out with like a solvent or something like that, then you could just take your bearings to the sink and just run soapy water over them, and that will wash the grit out of the bearings. You need something that can move the grit out of the bearings without just accumulating it. So, and just incidentally, what I found the best for removing the widest variety of greases. So grease is a little bit different than the race oils you find normally in bearings. Just, you know, light detergent, Windex or whatever, orange cleaner, that's not gonna cut it with grease. You can't chemically attack the grease in order to remove it like that, because there's just too much of it. There's just too much grease. So what I have instead is I use solvents. So what this is about 70-30 mineral spirits with a little bit of acetone. And mineral spirits, I found, dissolve grease really well. And there's a few greases it doesn't attack quite as effectively that acetone works well on. And so by combining the two, you can basically get rid of all the greases. And now that all the grease is gone, it's a lot easier for me to just wash out the grit out of my bearings with just water or with soap and water. And so now I've So what I'm going to do is I've got this one bottle that's got solvent in it, and I'm going to put the second bottle, and I'm just going to put soapy water in there, and I'm going to shake it around in that bottle, and then I'm going to dry all the bearings off, and that's how I'm going to be dealing with all these bearings for right now. Right, so that's one little tidbit for you on cleaning bearings. Hopefully you found that a little bit useful. Longboard Technology, over and out.